So hello and welcome again for season 3 of AT Still University's Lunch and Learn sessions. And they're sponsored by ATSU's Information Technology and Services Group. It's good to be back. We try to take a break over the summer and do a little sabbatical and regroup a little bit. But as fall approaches and we've got new students on campuses and in our online classes, it's time to get back into the business of experimenting with new forms of communication and education. That's really what we try to do with these. So we apologize for the technical glitches that we've had for the first few minutes, but that's kind of what we're trying to do here is we're experimenting and really trying to better understand some of these tools because we think that they're going to be used more within kind of mainstream education, and we need those skills. So as we kick off this third season of the Lunch and Learns, I thought I'd take a couple of minutes and kind of reflect on what we think as an ITS group about these sessions and kind of what the purpose is. So we've already talked a little bit about the experimentation component, but over the summer we think about, you know, what's the value of these sessions? And since we've been doing them now for a couple of years, we actually have some data that we can look at too to kind of evaluate their value. So over the last couple of years, we've done 40 sessions or episodes as we've started calling them after season 2 or as part of season 2 to try and get our language more aligned with broadcasting. The first episode that we did was on May 10th, 2012, which means that we've been kind of experimenting with this low budget broadcasting for over a couple of years. And when we first started playing with the Hangouts and Hangouts on Air, neither the technology nor we were very good at it. We've gotten better, but we're still trying to step it up to that extra notch, and that requires different skills. So I think out of the first 7 episodes that we did, we only got recordings on 3 of them. But then over the next, whatever it would be, 33 episodes, we got better at the recording component. So we're going to continue to experiment. Now we're using a tool called Livestream to try and do some of this, and just bear with us on some of this learning curve stuff. I think that some of our early goals kind of hold up well with what we're doing with the Lunch and Learns. So a primary reason for doing them, as I mentioned, was experimentation and kind of give us a safe place to sandbox some of this stuff. And that's really what we want to do, is play with both the broadcast and social media technologies and figure out a way to distribute this content to as many people as possible. Originally, we started doing them live in classrooms where we would have people come in for sessions, and eventually we decided that no, we just wanted to do it all online. So another reason for doing them was to kind of expose faculty and staff, and even some of the students, to some of these tools. So if I look back at some of the data that we've collected over the last 3 months for video conferencing in the Google Hangouts, 2 years ago we didn't even have that tool. Over the last 3 months, ATSU's conducted more than 1,800 of those video sessions. So that's about 25 Google Hangouts going on per day. So there are a lot of people who've adopted this and are using them regularly. So as an institution, we're definitely getting better at it. So kind of what are we thinking about for season 3? As in the past, we're going to continue to try and do some different things. So one of the things that you've noticed already, hopefully, is that we're using the studio, the David Welch studio at the Missouri campus, and really trying to showcase what we can do in that studio a little bit more. We're going to start using some different tools. So we're using Livestream instead of the Google Hangouts that we've used in the past. We actually have Curt involved through Google Hangouts. So it's a combination of technologies. And you can see we're using another tool called our TriCaster, where we can cut in between shots and do some additional effects. So if you're a faculty person or a staff person and you're thinking about communicating events or classes, look at this technology and think about how you might be able to use it. This is one of the services that we're going to continue to provide. In terms of format, we're going to change the format around a little bit. We're going to try and make the sessions a little bit shorter segments and have more segments. So for example, we kind of spun off the Break to Educate sessions last year as we started getting into, we started receiving more interest in season 2 from other departments. And so the focus changed from all technical topics to kind of more university-wide topics. And so we did the Break to Educate to kind of get back toward those technical topics. What we're going to do now is kind of combine the two of those into segments in the same Lunch and Learn session. So we may have a lunch and learn on, say, the community health centers, but then what we'll do is we'll kind of cut to a canned component where we'll do some break to educate stuff. And I think that'll make things flow a little bit better, and we'll be able to get more content in a small amount of time. So those are some of the things that you can kind of look for over the next season. One of the things we're going to try and do is even kind of work in some of the commercial type activities. And I don't know, guys, if we can we cut to that lynda.com?
Yeah, let's go to that.
So we're going to cut to, it's kind of a commercial type activity. This is a YouTube clip from lynda.com. It's one of the services that we offer. And it's really to kind of reinforce the fact that we all need to learn new things, and that's becoming a big deal for everyone. There's no time really for ITS to can those services anymore. So what we do is we kind of outsource a lot of that training with an enterprise license to lynda.com. And Lynda provides content for those things that I think Gene will probably talk to later in the session. The feedback that we get from the survey is related to training that people want for basically the office products are the ones we hear most frequently. Well, now you can get that through lynda.com.
I'm a mom,
So let's go.
but
to
I'm
that.
also a web developer.
You see, I wanted to change my life, so I went to lynda.com and learned
Spreadsheets
business software,
and photography.
I went from being nervous
to being confident.
because I could learn at my own speed.
I learned
I could be anything.
Anything I want to be.
At lynda.com, you can learn whenever and wherever you want, from easy-to-follow videos taught by experts, so you can be anything you want in life. Come to lynda.com and see what you can learn.
Great. Thanks, Corey. All right. So we don't really want to get into commercials per se, but what we do want to be able to do is spread the word about things that are going on around ATSU. So we'll work with communications and marketing and other departments to highlight events that are going on around campus or different activities that we have going on. So if you have something that you want to promote, an IPE type event, or like we did the recent research seminar, those are the kinds of things that we're doing that promotional activity anyway. So if we can use the tools to create something that we can include here and provide it in a different format, then that's the kind of thing that we're going to do. So that gives you a sense of kind of what you can expect from the season. I'll do the little disclaimer. We want to improve the production quality and expand the skill sets, but we don't really envision ourselves becoming mini Hollywood or anything. So what we're trying to do is not add new activities and new skills, but really leverage those skills that we already have and get better at the activities we're already doing. So that's the idea behind it. So I think with that, let's get into the session for today. So with us today, we've got the ITS team. So kind of all of the team leaders, and we thought we would go through the annual survey that we do. Gene will walk us through that, but just to make sure that everybody knows who our team is, I'll start with kind of my far right is Tim Johnson. So Tim is the manager of our network technologies and network services. Next to him, we've got Dean Maag. So Dean is the manager of academic technologies, or what we call academic technologies. And then I guess to my left, we'll skip over the video feed for a moment. To my left is Gene Varnold. Gene is, as most of you know, the manager of our customer service group. And then myself, I'm with IT. And on the video, we've got Curt Law. So Curt's coming to us from the Arizona campus, and Curt's responsibilities are for applications. So all of the application development and services and support related to those applications. So Gene, do you want to kind of take it and walk us through kind of the annual survey and start with that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I will apologize. I'm going to work off of notes a little bit. I found out a half hour ago I was going to do this. So it's really hard to believe that we've been sending out the survey for 7 years. We started in 2007, and then we sent one out this year in 2014, so that makes it 7 years. The purpose of it is, Bryan coined this phrase early on, and it stuck. It is our report card. And it truly is our report card. You're grading us on how you see that we're doing for you. You get different views from different people. So it's really interesting and it's very valuable to us to know what you're thinking.
Did you say how long we've been doing it? So it's been
I did, 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Yes. So, and by using this survey, then we can make plans on how we can improve. Again, it's the report card, and it is just a little different every year, but it's always interesting every year. Our participation rates have fluctuated. In 2010, we had 390 responses. In 11, we had 327. In 12, it dropped down to 199, really no reason that we know why. And then in 13, we had 567, and in 14, 544.
So this is one of the things that I think we kind of worry about a little bit is, the response rate for the participation is down below 5%. So we send the survey out to a lot of different people. We include faculty, staff, students, alumni, really anyone who has an ATSU account, right?
Right.
So I'm not sure that 5% is a very accurate target because we have a lot of accounts where people aren't actively engaged with us. But when we look at the raw numbers, it's still not as big a representation as we'd like to see.
Yeah, I agree with you. It would be nice to have up close to 100%.
So if you're out there and you haven't participated in the survey, please do next year.
Next year, May. Anyway, what we usually do is we send it out in the spring, and then over the summer, we review the results, and then late summer, very early fall, we send the results out to you. And you all should have received 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Brian?
Sounds right.
The results of the survey. And if you didn't follow the link to find them, you can go to the ITS website, the internal website, and just click on, or just fill in survey, Google survey in it, and it will take you to all the surveys. So you can kind of see the differences of what we've been doing over the last few years. As I said, the information is very valuable for planning. The other thing that I really like about it is the comments you make. The comments are great. And I've got to share one if I can find it here, because I'm so involved in the B2Es and the lunch and learns that this one, I learned things I didn't know I wanted to learn through the Break to Educate and the lunch and learns. I think the offerings are great and keep pace with what I need to learn. That really reinforces to us that we're doing the right thing with that. As we go around and talk a little bit more, I think, Brian, you'd planned that everyone would talk a bit about their area and what they saw in the...
Yeah, but let's kind of go through.
Okay, all right, that'd be great. Some things that repeat, you can just about count on. Every year we see that some people are unhappy with Blackboard, some people like Blackboard. And I will go back here, if you give me just a minute. In the survey that we
So Gene,
published for
if I can, Corey, can
Yeah.
you cut to my screen? So,
Oh, hold on. No, hold on, I gotta pull you out here.
this is part of the experimentation component. That's all right, we can talk to it if not.
Yeah, we can talk to it. Why don't you go ahead and, do you want to talk to this part?
That's what I was going to do,
Okay,
is kind of
that'd be
break it
great.
down by section. So
Okay.
the first section shows the results.
Yep.
And maybe talk about, the service schedule,
Okay.
and kind of what we go through there. You want me to do it?
I thought you said you were.
I will. So we actually look at kind of 4 different categories when we do the survey. The first one is just the service schedule. So are we available at the right times, and what's the difference in service level between the internal staff and our outsourced support staff? And what I was hoping to show is kind of as evidence that we actually do listen to what kind of feedback we get here. If you look back at the results in 2010, 11, and 12, there was heavy concern on our outsourced help desk. And the numbers were very low. And so what we decided to do based on a lot of this feedback was we changed our outsourcer. And so it was 2013, I believe, 2012, maybe 13, that we changed the vendor that we used. We're now using Campus EAI, and our numbers have improved. So the response has been better. It's still not where we want it to be, and there's still a fairly big difference between people calling in after hours versus people calling in during normal business hours when we have our own internal staff.
I also think that some of the less favorable comments are still coming from the stigma of the help desk, the outsourced help desk. I mean, we're still recovering on that because there was a 91% resolution rate on the tickets that Campus CAI did last year. So that's a pretty good rate. And then the other would have been escalated to us. So everyone should have been helped.
Right, so the way that it works, I think what Jean's kind of alluding to is we have tiers of service. So if you call after hours, the Campus CAI folks will try to serve and answer the issue if they can. If they can't, and if it's an issue where you're actually unavailable to get service, they will call our help desk line and actually escalate that call to Jean's team. And then Jean will try and solve the issue, or Jean's team will. And so what Jean's saying is 91% of the calls that were coming in were being resolved by Campus CAI. So that's much better than we saw previously. We know there's still work to do there, but that's a good sign. And really that's kind of the next section that we try to get feedback on is problem resolution. So are we resolving things in a timely fashion, and how effectively are we resolving things? Sometimes we're worried that we can be really friendly and very professional, but if we still don't solve the problem, then that's really not the kind of service that we want to get out there. So that's kind of that second level. The third area that we try to focus on in the annual survey is communications. And this one is difficult every year. We try to ask questions about routine maintenance. So when we know that systems are going to be affected and we have outages, how well do we communicate that ahead of time? I know Jean makes a ton of phone calls to try and find the right times to schedule when things will be unavailable. I think we do a decent job of balancing that in the evenings or basically late on Friday nights. And we look at our data and we know that those are the times that people are least likely to be on the ATSU network. So that's for our routine maintenance. And then there are things that happen throughout the day or throughout the weeks where it's just unexpected outages. And still we feel a responsibility to try and communicate those things. So we've added the Twitter account. So we've got the ATSU_alerts account. So if you are a Twitter person, please follow us on that account. And that will send a message right to your phone whenever we have some type of outage or unexpected event. So we'll send information out that way.
And I might jump in and add, I usually try to send to the Twitter account, to the Twitter feed first. So that's, if you would sign up for that, you would be one of the first to know them.
Yeah, that would be great. And then we get responses back on individual work orders. So if you have a work order that you've submitted and are not happy, or if you are happy with the results, when that work order is closed, then we try to get feedback that way as well. And so we try to collect some information based on just how individual work orders are handled.
And I do look at those every week, by the way. Monday, I sit down and I go through them. So we do pay attention to them.
Good. And then we try to communicate via the ITS website. And we know that we've got some work to do there based on some of the comments we've received from previous years and again this year, but we're getting there. There's some improvements that are coming down the pipe for the ITS site that we'll be rolling out and kind of doing more work on, even with some of these sessions where we'll do little break to educates on how to be more effective using the ITS site. And then the last thing is just kind of miscellaneous announcements and whatnot that we do, the Blackboard user group, lunch and learn offerings, those types of things, and how well we communicate those types of events.
One thing I might interject too is that on the communications, it was pretty well split down the middle. And you do too much communicating, you don't do enough communicating. So we're really trying to find that middle ground.
Yeah, I've been really kind of pushing Jean. She probably hates me always talking about the user groups and using these user groups. But what we're struggling with is whether to push information toward you, toward the users, or whether to force the users to come looking for information. So the push mechanism is great in that we know that the information gets out there, and that's what Jean was saying. Half of the people think that we push too hard and that they're getting too much spam. And so that's the fear that we have, is when people just ignore anything that comes from the help desk because it's like, oh, it's more junky lunch and learn stuff. I don't care about that. So we're trying to do a better job with the subject lines. But then in addition, we're trying to set up tools where you can go and look for information. So it may not be something that's imminently important right at the moment, but you want to find out what's been going on with ITS over the last couple of weeks, or what happened with a particular issue. And so we'll try and go to either a user group or a community that we've developed where you can kind of read through at your own leisure and see what types of issues are being developed or are coming up for ITS, what we've been doing, those kinds of things.
Yeah, and one of the great groups that has been developed is the Blackboard user group. Dean developed that and he did a great job with it. And we do have, I don't know, how many users do we have in that now?
There's
several.
A couple hundred, yeah.
Yeah, so it does show that the user groups are a good means of communication.
And I think really that's, it's part of where we're at with all of this information. So, it used to be that Jean's group or the help desk could answer questions about any application because there weren't that many. But now over time, the applications have just expanded beyond anyone's belief, I would say, over the last 5 years or so. And they can't be experts at everything. So what we're trying to do is develop these user groups where the people who really know the ins and outs of a particular piece of software are better at answering questions and giving feedback and saying, hey, there's just this little nuance there. But that takes conscious effort from users to go into these areas and participate. So we're really trying to encourage users to do that, and then we're trying to get our own people involved in those communities to not only up their own skills, but then to be able to answer questions in those communities where it's answer it once and then it goes to the whole community. So it's not like you're answering the same question over and over and over. And then finally, I think the last category that we really focus on is service. So we know that when people call the help desk, it's not usually to say, hey, we're just having a great day and we wanted to share it with you. That's not a typical call. So we want to make sure that when you call and you've got an issue, we're courteous, we're professional, and we get your issues resolved. And that's not only on the phone, but really we focus specifically on classroom support as well, because the classrooms are an area where when you have an issue, you need someone pretty much instantaneously. And so we try to ask about what our service level is on classroom support as well. So
And the one thing I'd remind everyone on classroom support is your best bet is to call the help desk. We'll track someone down for you instead of you trying to find the person that might come help you.
Good.
Call the help desk first.
Good. All right, so that kind of hits the results section. And then I think that's where Jean was going next is we actually do read all of the comments that come in.
Over and over again.
And we really try to take actions based on those. So in the past, I mentioned the change of help desk service for outsourcing. That's one example of things that we've changed. There are several that we could come up with, things that we've changed in Blackboard, things that we've done differently. But maybe that's an area where we can kind of tell them what some of the things that we're doing for this year.
Sure. Or if
Yeah,
the
or
other guys
if
want to,
the network
because
guys, or
it does
Dean, if you've got anything. or
hit their
Kurt.
area of expertise, someone really needs to speak to the learning management system a little bit.
Yeah, you want to talk Blackboard quick? The love-hate relationship we have with it,
Sure.
as well as everyone else?
Yeah. Blackboard's got an annual issue that on the ITS survey comes back every year. And this year in particular, we had some issues with the Java overruns crashing the system and having some issues on Sunday. But we are working on that. We're going to switch to a new storage area network that Tim's group is setting up. So hopefully that will help eliminate some of the problems. And from input from previous years too, we've kind of switched the way we do the updates and things to Blackboard by trying to time it towards breaks in between semesters and to times where there's going to be less immediate need for Blackboard, because sometimes the Blackboard updates don't always go as smoothly as they should. But we're trying to listen to the users and let you know about that. There is a next generation LMS community. Bryan was talking earlier about communities and groups. So if we're looking at what comes in the future, what happens with the LMS in the future, whether we stay with Blackboard or whether we look to another company or another software in the future, we can talk about this on the next generation LMS community, and we certainly welcome your input on that. Right now we've got Blackboard and it's the devil we know versus the devil we don't know. So I think that we can look at what we need, what the requirements for an LMS, what's must-haves, what are would like to haves, and what are kind of blue sky things. So I would certainly encourage you to look into the next generation LMS community.
Great, thanks, Dean. So a little reminder, if you have questions, please try and post them on the live stream, and we'll try and get to the questions. If we go back to kind of other things that we've noticed in the survey and activities that we've taken some action on, one of the things that comes up is a more instantaneous response for classroom issues. So I want to make sure that people recognize or know that we've heard those. We've made a number of improvements in terms of equipment in the classroom. The guys out in Arizona have been busy pretty much all of last year making adjustments with different types of equipment, putting in new projectors, just really improving the classroom equipment that we have out there.
And we don't receive as many calls on the classrooms as we used to.
And we budget money each year for improving classrooms. So I mean, if you have suggestions for a classroom, if there's a functionality that's not there or something is broken and needs to be fixed, please let us know, and we're going to get that addressed, because people that are using the classrooms every day know better than we do what the issues are with those classrooms. So we would really appreciate any kind of input on what needs to be resolved in classrooms as far as technology.
The last one I think that I should probably talk to is staffing. People I think have recognized that they would like to see us have more staff, as would we. But it's obviously a balance that happens every year with kind of budget cycles and whatnot. And really what we feel the challenge is to do more with the same number of people and try and do a better job at servicing. So please continue to share those concerns if you have them. That helps us when we go through the budget cycle. But also share ideas with us on how we can be more effective at what we do. So that's another thing. We've extended the help desk hours and tried to offset either early in the morning or later in the evening to try and get additional coverage times. We've got the outsourced help desk to address anything 24/7, and we've got a process in place where if those questions are fairly significant questions, there's an escalation path that we can get to. So we feel like we're doing a decent job there, but we know that there's still work out there for that.
And we do have service from 7:30 in the morning, starts on this campus, and it goes to 6:30 at night on Mesa campus. So that means service ends either at 7:30 or 8:30, depending on No, it's always, I'm not going to even go down that road. But anyway, if you call during those hours, you're going to get an ITS person, an internal person. And if you're calling with an issue from either campus, we're here to help you and we will help you. It doesn't matter which campus you're on.
All right, I think then kind of where we're at time-wise, can we go to that break to educate? So we're going to try and bring in another video that we have that's kind of canned. We're going to try and do more of this as we go through the season. But this is kind of what Jean's little snippet alluded to earlier. You know, why do we do some of the things that we do? You know, why do we say reboot? Why do we? I don't know. What are some of the other ones? Well, I don't want
Browser
to. It'd
flush,
be killing.
and there's a lot of them, but
stealing the thunder.
And quite honestly, I mean, sometimes they do sound like, oh, you're just trying to get rid of me, but we're not. So
Is this what we want to go to though?
this, yeah, we put this in ahead,
Oh,
so
okay.
we can kind of
Okay, good.
preface it.
Once again, Information Technologies asked me if I rebooted.
What is really lame is when they tell me to flush my browser.
The one that gets me is when they ask me if I have tried another browser.
The real kicker is when they say, "Can I call you right back?" Do you think they do this to upset us?
Maybe we should watch the next Break to Educate on September 16th.
You are correct. We shouldn't judge until we know why.
Folks, we're trying to switch right now.
So that's the first part of the video, and then we've got kind of the response to that.
And I will have to say I had fun doing that.
Yeah, so I mean, these are the kinds of skills that I think we need to develop. I mean, obviously, we're still working through a lot of the bugs with some of this stuff, but hopefully, over the course of season 3, you'll see that things improve, and this is just kind of the natural way of learning things.
I think too that a lot of these things that we're showing, it's just like this.
Hi, folks. Hi, folks. Mr. Flush here. I'm here to tell you why we tell you to sometimes clean out your browser cache when you call the help desk. And so the reason why we do that is because we use what are called dynamic web applications. An example of that would be Blackboard. Blackboard is a dynamic web application. What that means is that every time you click something in Blackboard, that page is built right then, right there, just for you, and it's built on the fly. It's not a static page that's stored somewhere. It's built for you. So when your browser cache gets cluttered up with old cookies and old session information, you can have troubles happen in your Blackboard sessions. So please try this. Please try cleaning out your browser cache. This is a routine maintenance step that you should perform to keep your browser running well. A good analogy would be changing the oil on your car. If you don't change your car's oil, eventually it starts running badly. The same thing applies to web browsers and cleaning out your browser cache. Please take a few minutes to clean out your browser's cache every couple of weeks, maybe every month. There is a very good article in the WikiHow website. I will put the URL right here on your screen, so you should be able to see it. Simply locate your browser in the list and click the link, and it will display step-by-step instructions with pictures on how to clean out your browser cache. After you clean out the cache, you should shut down your browser completely. That means closing all of its windows, and then restart it and try your action again. It should work a whole bunch better now. This is Mr. Flush signing off. Thanks.
All right, so it gives you a sense of kind of some of the things that we can do. Is that the end of it there?
No, we should have 2 more clips.
Okay, so a couple more clips.
No, we do not have 2 more clips. Okay. I can speak to the clips if we need to.
Hey, go ahead. So,
All
yeah,
right.
answer those questions.
Let me think back now. I did such a good job recording this too. The one thing that I was going to speak of is why we ask you to reboot. And some of you think of me as the reboot queen, And if you get me, that's usually the first thing you're going to be asked to do. But I will let these technical people jump in and help a little bit on it. But in my very, very technical words is it cleans out the junk. And then you can, once you reboot and restart, then a lot of times things work a little better. Timmy, why don't you have, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Reboot to me, sorry to interrupt him, but to me rebooting is one of those things that, its problem is that it actually does work a lot of the time.
Yeah, and people are really annoyed when the first thing we say is, did you reboot? No. Would you reboot, please?
We don't like that answer either, but it does fix
I
a
mean,
lot.
I get it all the time because if I have a problem, you could probably hear me on the square say, Rob, and he'll say, did you reboot? No. Okay, reboot G. So, Tim, do you have anything to say on rebooting?
Well, I guess I can talk now.
I guess so. I'm through for a minute.
Really, what you're doing with a computer is when you reset, it's really what you're doing is you're starting the computer over, you're clearing everything out of its memory, you're clearing everything out of its cache. And Microsoft is an operating system that over the years, it has always been one of those kinds of operating systems where it's like a stack of cards. When things load, they load in order, and they tend to want to be in that order when things happen. And typically what you find with operating systems like Microsoft is when something either gets out of order or over time doesn't flush itself out of memory. So an example would be in a browser, would be a perfect case. When you're running a browser over time, it loads up more stuff and loads up more of the memory of the computer. So when it gets to a point where there's either no more resources left or there's something that's out of that order, a reboot then puts everything back in order and just starts it over from scratch. It's no different than when you turn your car off and you turn your car back on, and you're basically have reset the system, so your car is running again as if it's back in park, and the same thing with your computer.
See, wasn't it easier when I said clear out the junk?
Gene, you want to talk about the next one, which I think it was
Yes, it
phone
was.
calls. Right.
Well, actually, it was, can we call you right back?
Can we call you right back?
Yeah, that's annoying too. I know it is, but you've got to realize that a lot of times we will have students at the desk and the tech has been working with the students. They'll rush to answer the phone. They'll say, can I call you right back? Or there are 5 phone calls ahead of you. Can I call you right back? The other thing might be that we want to speak to a technician that is a specialist in the question you have. And that way we can give you better advice that way. So when we say call you right back, we're not trying to get rid of you. We're just trying to get better answers and to be able to give you more attention.
Good. I think let's wrap it up. Maybe just go around the horn. And Kurt, we'll start with you since you really haven't had a chance to talk at all yet. And I think over time we're going to try and get this to a point where we do a canned session on kind of the week in IT and just quick updates and news from each of the different areas or important ideas that are going on. Anything that you want to kind of let people know about projects that are going on, updates, quick news items?
Sure. Just a couple of things that we have going on is one is for new students. We have a project out there for new students in our our online our online programs to be able to apply using a new online system. So that's just getting rolled out. It's rolling out to a few programs, and we add new programs every week. So hopefully a better experience, especially after we get the bugs worked out, for new students coming in specifically for online programs. Along with that, in conjunction with HR, we're rolling out a very similar thing for new employees. So for new employees to be able to much easier apply for jobs, for those managers to then be able to review those applicants, and then when we select somebody, a much nicer experience for the new employee to be able to fill out all the paperwork. before they actually show up on day one, and they can get some of that stuff out of the way. So those are two new things that are just coming on board here here in the fall. So
good. Yeah, thanks, Kurt. And it's really prospective employees, not necessarily new employees that we're really trying to focus on there. Yeah. Tim, you want to add anything with the network side?
Yeah, a couple of things that we're most excited about. First and foremost is we're taking a look at Citrix. So we have added an additional person to ITS, and her name is Jody Morgan, and she's our network systems administrator based out of Mesa. So she'll be focusing a lot on Citrix issues, in particular expansion of Citrix into areas where it hasn't been used today. So that's hopefully improving the application delivery to our customers. The other big thing I'll touch on is we're making changes to the ATSU portal and putting a new version out, which we'll be talking about that. And there's a beta test site out for that right now, which if you're interested in signing up for, we've got information Gene can provide you on how to become part of that.
Yeah,
so,
just make a call to the help desk and say, I'd like to be a part of the new ATSU portal group.
Yeah, so those are the big things. Otherwise, we're just our usual upgrading hardware as it's becoming obsolete, adding more disk, improving disk and servers, and making the internet a safer place for everybody to live in. So.
Good. Dean, anything from the academic side?
Well, we're making some significant improvements in video production on Mesa this year with a live stream device and some new cameras and things. That's going to be good to have some expanded quality of production in Mesa. Want to make a plug for Lecture Tools, which is a student engagement system that we just started using 2 months ago. It allows you to do in-class polling and some quizzes and different things, and it's a really neat tool. So, I mean, if you want to get some more information on that, please feel free to contact us on that. And I guess another big thing coming up is a Blackboard update. We're going to go to Blackboard release 2014 1H is the name of the release. We're going to try to do that during December. So we're building some test servers, putting things together, getting ready for that, and we'll release that to the Blackboard user group, let them do some testing on that as well.
Good. Good. Gene, anything more from the help desk side?
I always have something, don't you know? Well, one thing is JT, who worked on our Mesa campus, has resigned, and he is going to ASU. So if you know any crackerjack techs out there, please have them contact HR, and we may have a position for them. The other thing is that this time of year, we're always getting ready, and it's hard to believe, for the 2015-16 budget for computer purchases and so on and so forth. I'm tweaking my spreadsheet right now, and you'll be hearing from me to have the budget interviews. So that's the big things.
Good, good. All right, I think with that we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned. We'll do the next Lunch and Learn. I think the 1st of October is kind of our plan.
I think so.
One of the first weeks of October. Thanks for kind of tuning in, and please give us feedback. We really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.